Hello! A few reminders for this March Madness time and a way to maximize STEM OPT time. That is what we are talking about here at Live at Lunch. My name is Emily Sumner with Sumner Immigration Law, and I'm so happy for those of you who are joining us live and those of you who are catching us on the replay. Today, I have a couple of key reminders, upcoming dates and fees, and we'll begin with the fact that the H-1B CAP lottery registration ends this Friday, March 22nd at noon Eastern. So the countdown is on. Our team has been hard at work getting our clients registered, confirming the information, making sure that everything is set up and the submissions, the registrations are submitted in a timely manner. We do not want to wait until the last minute because that's asking for IT glitches, system glitches, and that would be incredibly stressful. So we're wanting to make sure that we get everything submitted as soon as we possibly can, if it's not already been submitted. With our office, with our clients, once we submit the H-1B registrations, we are sending confirmation emails to the employers who have submitted the registrations to confirm that everything is done and to remind them of the next steps in the process. So again, if you are a client of Sumner Immigration Law, you can look for that email to confirm the registration submission and next steps. If you are an employee who has been registered through our firm, make sure that you're communicating with your employer contact, your immigration contact, to receive that information. We streamline the communication through that employer contact. So again, the deadline is Friday, March 22nd at noon, and we're looking forward to having all of those completed. The next step in the H-1B CAP registration process, or the CAP H-1B lottery process, will be for USCIS to conduct the lottery at the end of March. We don't know yet. They might not either, but we don't know yet exactly when that registration or when the selection process is going to be. It will be completed on or before March 31st. But typically, we see that USCIS runs the lottery that week after the CAP submission, the registration process closes. So I expect that they'll run the lottery next week and that we should start receiving notifications of selections next week as well. Those notifications will be on the registration portal, and we should receive emails as well. Again, in our practice, within our practice is to notify the clients, the employers, as soon as we have information or confirmation that a case is selected. I know that it's a very anxiety-provoking process. A lot is riding on this for so many employees and employers, and we make sure to notify as soon as we have that information and then let you know what the next steps would be. Those next steps are, if the case is selected, to file the H-1B petition within the 90-day window, which is between April 1st and June 30th. So those are the next steps coming up for the H-1B CAP. If you are not selected in the H-1B lottery, we are having a free webinar on the first Wednesday of April. I'm looking at my calendar to confirm the exact date. It's Wednesday, April 3rd at noon Eastern. And I will put in the comments a link to register for that webinar. You might want to go ahead and register now. Hopefully you won't need it, but that webinar will be to talk about different options for people who are not selected in the CAP. The H-1B is absolutely a go-to visa classification. It's used a lot, but it's not the only option. So we hope you'll join us for that webinar on Wednesday, March 3rd at noon Eastern. And like I said, I'll put the link to register for that in the comments on this particular post. The second reminder is that the USCIS filing fees will change. Most of them are increasing significantly on April 1st. So if you are filing an immigration petition or application, if you want to take advantage of the lower fees, make sure that the petition or application is filed before April 1st. If you're filing on or after April 1st, there's several changes. One is the fees. The fee structure is significantly different for a number of different filings, including a lot of the employment-based categories, temporary categories that we use, like the H-1B, the TN, the E3, the O, the L. The fees for all of those are changing, including an asylum program fee that is being added to the I-129-based filings, so those filings that I just mentioned, and to I-140 filings. And the I-140, of course, is part of the employment-based green card process. So those changes are coming into effect on April 1st. In addition, there will be new form versions starting April 1st. And for some types of filings, there will not be a grace period. That means if you use the wrong form version, it'll be sent back. Or if you submit the wrong fee, it'll be sent back, which can be a significant problem depending on the situation. And then finally, there are new filing locations for certain types of filings. So lots of changes coming up on April 1st to be aware of. If you are looking to file before April 1st, if you are our client, we have been in contact with you, given you a timeline. We have everything on track to do that, assuming that you have submitted the documentation that we need to be able to file before April 1st. But if you're filing after April 1st, be aware of those key changes. My final topic today is a strategy for maximizing the amount of time that a foreign national student in F1 status has to work in STEM OPT and maximizing your chance of being selected in the H-1B lottery. So a student who is foreign national student who is here on F1 may be eligible for a STEM OPT extension. The STEM OPT extension is available for individuals whose field of study is on a list of approved CIP codes, CIP, C like cat, IP codes. Anyway, if your field of study is on this list, then you are eligible for a STEM OPT extension. That is a 24-month extension beyond the original 12 months of OPT. There are additional requirements. The employer that you work for has to participate in E-Verify. There's a training plan requirement. There's some reporting requirements. So there are some additional elements for STEM OPT, but it's an amazing program because it allows for our national students to be able to work using that employment authorization document, the STEM OPT EAD, for an additional 24 months beyond the initial 12 months. So that's a total of 3 years that you could potentially have an OPT. So I have some clients now who are, and thank you for the question, LinkedIn user, I'll talk about that in just a minute. I have some clients now who are looking at they have OPT, maybe they're on their first 12 months of OPT, and they think, you know what, I'm not going to register in the H-1B lottery this year because I don't have, because I don't want to give up my OPT. The number of years that you have an OPT. There is a way to address that, however. So keep in mind that you have these potentially 3 years in OPT and you have potentially up to 6 years in H-1B status. If you ultimately want to stay in the United States long-term and start the green card process, you may or may not be able to get through the green card process within that 6-year period. There is a way sometimes to be able to extend, a lot of times, to be able to extend beyond the 6th year, but not always. So my point is that it's a good idea, can be strategically a good idea to maximize the amount of time that you use and of your OPT time that you use. That's the bottom line, is once you give it up, you can't get it back. And it can be strategically advantageous to use all 3 years. But it can also be advantageous to file to register in the H-1B lottery every single year, so that you maximize the chance of being selected. The chance of being selected in the lottery, of course, depends on how many registrations are received. This past year, there were almost 800,000 H-1B petition or registrations received. The chance of being selected was around 14%. And I'll go ahead and address this person's question. Somebody posted, how many H-1B registrations are you expecting for this year? I really don't know. I don't have a solid guess. Nobody does. Nobody can estimate for sure. It will definitely be interesting to see. My guess is it would be around the same as last year. That's just a guess. Who knows? But there are a lot of different factors at play with that that I'll come back to in just a minute. I want to go back to my strategy for just a minute. But in terms of my strategy for maximizing both the STEM OPT and the H-1B chances of being selected in the H-1B lottery, you can register have your employer register you in the H-1B lottery every year that you're eligible. So let's say starting in your first year of OPT and the second year and the third year. And if you are selected, let's say that you're super lucky and you're selected that first year for the H-1B, you still have to file the petition. But you can file the petition, your employer can file the H-1B petition within that 90-day window. And they can ask for, or the attorney can mark a box on the form that asks for consular processing instead of a change of status. That means that your status, even though the H-1B petition is approved, if you mark consular processing, your status does not change automatically from F1 to H-1B on October 1st, when it otherwise would become effective. Instead, you could keep working on STEM OPT, and then if and when, not if, but when you want to make the H-1B status effective, you would either file an amended petition to request a change of status from F1 to H-1B, or you would leave the country, get the H-1B visa stamped, and come back in on the H-1B, then your status would be H-1B. So it's a way to kick the initiation of the H-1B down the road, but still take advantage of the fact that you've been selected in the lottery that particular year. This is a strategy that you absolutely can consider. This is not legal advice. I can't give legal advice on this forum, but it's a strategy to consider that would allow you to, like I said, take advantage of all of the possible years that you have to register for the H-1B, and also to maximize that amount of time that you're spending in OPT, because once you give it up, you can't get it back. So I was talking about, finally, about the number of H-1B registrations. I said maybe the same number as last year, but there are a couple of different factors that play, several different factors that play into this, and it'll be very interesting to see. One is just the economy. The economists have not said, I haven't seen anywhere that we're officially in a recession, but it kind of feels that way in a lot of ways. Between the interest rates, but I also have seen with our clients, prospective clients, just people that I've talked to, a lot of layoffs and a lot of different, in a number of different industries, not just limited to tech. That's kind of the key one that I'm thinking about, but there are others as well that have been impacted. So I've seen a number of layoffs and a number of people, looking for jobs and maybe between employers, and they don't have someone to sponsor them, or maybe employers are saying, you know what, we're not going to sponsor this year because we're not sure what the future looks like. Nobody knows ever what the future looks like, but my point is that it could be because of the economy, fewer people are registering. The other thing is the change in the H-1B selection process. So as you may know from previous posts or other sources, the USCIS announced a regulation that is effective this year. It's a beneficiary-centric process, meaning that USCIS, when they conduct the lottery, they will conduct the lottery they'll make the selections based on the beneficiary. So you still have to have an employer register you in the H-1B lottery, but the selections will be based on a unique passport number. That is to hopefully, supposedly, reduce the number of individuals who are being registered multiple times. So in other words, previously, before it was a beneficiary-centric process, you could have one beneficiary, let's say Jane Doe, that had 100 different employers register her for the H-1B lottery. That's a lot, probably an exaggeration, but it's possible that there are either multiple employers that are working together themselves, or that Jane went out and potentially paid multiple employers to register her in the H-1B lottery, which is not appropriate. Or any number of different situations where she could just have multiple job offers, let's say 5 different job offers, and have convinced 5 different employers to sponsor her. Then it's possible that she would then be, in the previous years, it's possible that she would have been selected multiple times. So let's say that she registered 5 times, it's within, or had 5 different employers register her, it's within the field of possibility that she actually would be selected 5 times, and then she would use up 5 slots. So they've changed the registration process this year so that that incentive to register through multiple different employers is not there, because the selection is going to be based on the beneficiary. So that could affect registration numbers. It'll be very interesting to see how all of that plays out. So that's a very long not answer to the question of how many registrations are we expecting this year, but my guess is it would be roughly the same, but who knows? It'll definitely be interesting to see. One final thing that I wanted to point out with the selection process, I meant to say this earlier, when USCIS conducts when USCIS conducts the H-1B lottery, there is a separate selection for U.S. master's degree holders. So there's within the 85,000 H-1B slots available every year, there are 65,000 slots, and plus an additional 20,000 for U.S. master's degree holders. USCIS will put everyone in the pool, and it's a totally random selection. They won't look at, oh, this person has a really great degree, or this company is doing some really great work, or this person is really well known in their field. They don't look at any of that. It's completely random. So they will put everyone in the pool and randomly select 65,000 people, including, so everybody's in the pool, including the kind of regular registrations and the H-1B cap registrations. And then they'll run another lottery for the US master's degree holders. They'll take everybody out who wasn't selected and who also holds a US master's degree, who qualifies, and they will run a second lottery for that. But they don't announce it. They don't say, okay, we have completed the lottery, the lottery selection for the 65,000. We've let you know if you were selected in that process. And now we're going to do the second process. They do everything at once. And on the notice, it says whether you were selected under the regular cap or master's cap, but they don't do they don't announce two separate lotteries. So everything's kind of done at the same time. The other thing to keep in mind is that the selections are done usually over the course, or at least notifications come out usually over the course of 2 or 3 days. So if you talk to your friend, or if you talk to your BFF's next door neighbor's haircutter's niece, we always hear stories about these attenuated relationships. Anyway, if you talk to somebody and they have a selection and you haven't heard yet, it's possible that you have a selection and you just legitimately haven't heard yet. Or it's possible that we don't know yet, we haven't heard anything yet, and that still they're in the process of notifying people. USCIS is in the process of notifying those who have been selected. So know that the process takes at least 2 or 3 days to get through. USCIS will make an announcement when they have completed the process and completed notifying everyone. So we'll make sure to have that information out as well. So that's the information that I have for you today. My name is Emily Sumner with Sumner Immigration Law. We serve clients throughout the United States with employment-based and family-based immigration matters throughout the United States and around the world. If you need assistance with an immigration matter, please don't hesitate to contact us. Send us an email at info@sumnerimmigration.com, or you can go to our website and complete the intake form, and we are happy to assist you. I will drop the link to register for the April 3rd webinar in the comments, and otherwise we look forward to seeing you next week at noon. Have a great week.